Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to start with the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, through you, sir. The lands we know today as the Township of Centre Wellington have been home to Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We acknowledge that we are on the treaty lands and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. With increasing encroachment by non-Indigenous settlers in the Township of Centre Wellington, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee could not continue their traditional lifestyles and settled instead in their villages along the Credit River and in the Grand River Valley. These Indigenous nations uphold their treaty rights within our jurisdiction. Today, the Township of Centre Wellington remains home to Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We are grateful to have the opportunity to share and to respect Mother Earth, and we are committed to building constructive and cooperative relationships with Indigenous nations.
Thank you, Councillor Evoy. Disclosure of any pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Okay, seeing none. The purpose of this meeting is of the proposed Township Official Plan Amendment is to redesignate the lands from industrial to mixed-use residential. The effect of the amendment is to allow a future mixed-use residential and commercial development. The purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the lands from M1 service industrial to RXXX residential mixed-use exception. The effect of the amendment is to implement zoning regulations necessary to facilitate the development of a mixed-use development consisting of 192 townhomes and 11 commercial units. The purpose and the effect of the proposed County of Wellington official plan amendment is to amend the growth structure Schedule A and A1 identified in the county official plan from employment area to delineate to built-up area to facilitate a mixed-use residential and commercial development. Notice of public meeting OP 007 2025 and RZ 006 2025 2655201 Ontario Inc. Dunpar Homes 65 Victoria Terrace Fergus. Notice of public meeting OP 007-25 RZ 006-25 650 Victoria Terrace Fergus final. Okay, so statement of chair, presentation. Okay, I'll just read this. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Township of Centre Wellington in respect to the proposed Township of Official Plan Amendment or Zoning Bylaw Amendment, you must make a written request to the Clerk of the Township of Centre Wellington, 1 McDonald Square, Elora, Ontario, NOB, 1SO. If the Township Official Plan Amendment is adopted, it will be forwarded to the County of Wellington for approval. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the County of Wellington in respect to the proposed Official Plan Amendment, you must make written request to the Director, Planning and Development Department, County of Wellington, 74 Woolwich Street, Guelph, Ontario, N1H3T9. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the proposed county official plan amendment or of the refusal of a request to amend the official plan, you must make a written request to Aldo Salas, Director of Planning and Development, 74 Woolwich Street, Guelph, Ontario, N1H3T9. If a person or a public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the County of Wellington or the Township of Wellington to the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, but the person of the public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Centre Wellington before the zoning bylaw is passed or before the Township Official Plan Amendment is adopted, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Centre Wellington before the zoning bylaw is passed or before the Township Official Plan Amendment is adopted, the person or the public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, unless the opinion of the tribunal there is a reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If a person or or public body would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of the County of Wellington to the Ontario Land Tribunal, the person or public body does not make oral submission at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Corporation of the County of Wellington before the proposed county of official plan amendment is adopted, the person or the public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting to make the written submission to the County of Wellington before the proposed official plan amendment is adopted, the person or the public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. So, how were we informed?
I need the paper back.
Okay.
My part's much shorter.
Yep.
The notice was mailed to prescribed persons, agencies, and public bodies on or before January 29th, 2026. Also, the sign posted at the property was updated to include public meeting date and time on January 29th, 2026. I can confirm the requirement for giving notice was completed on January 29th, 2026.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make an introduction by our planner. I'd like to call up Mariana Iglesias, Manager of Planning Service, to introduce the application.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Waters, members of council, staff, and members of the public. So the report before you is concerning background information for the public meeting that we're having tonight. Provides background material that includes applications for an official plan amendment, a township official plan amendment, and a township zoning bylaw amendment for the lands at 650 Victoria Terrace. I think we'll have a map up just in a moment. And also, this public meeting is being held for an official plan amendment to the county official plan as well. So it's being held on behalf of the county also. So the proposed site, it's a little difficult to see there. So the applications are for the lands at 650 Victoria Terrace, which is located on the east side of Victoria Terrace, west of Zowski Street and north of Forfar Street East in the former town Fergus. The amendments are to redesignate, the official plan amendment, is to redesignate the land from industrial to mixed-use residential, and also to rezone from M1, service industrial, to R6, residential mixed-use with exceptions, and that's to deal with site-specific design. The application, as I mentioned, is also for a county official plan amendment to redesignate the lands from employment area to delineated built-up area in the county's growth structure. The proposal is for a mixed-use development consisting of 192 three-story townhouses and 11 commercial units on a private internal road, together with stormwater management facility and common amenity areas. The property is bound by residential and institutional uses to the north, west, and south, and then industrial uses to the east across Zowski Street. It is anticipated that a future plan of condominium would be filed to establish the individual units and the common amenity areas and common elements. Several studies were submitted with the application, including a planning justification report, a functional servicing report and stormwater management, tree inventory and protection plan, and compensation plan, a phase 1 environmental site assessment, land use compatibility report, a noise impact study, and a traffic impact study. All of these are summarized in the planning justification report that's also attached to the background report. And it outlines the applicable provincial, county, and local planning policies and how these are met through the applications. The studies and plans, I will note, that are currently under review by staff and by third-party peer reviewers where needed, as well as the township's engineering consultants. The township staff is currently reviewing the applications within the planning policy framework, including the employment land conversion matter, because these lands are employment lands. A neighborhood meeting was held by the developer on December 1st. To inform the public of the application and answer any questions, and that the notes from the meeting are summarized in a memo that's also attached to this report. So I will say that staff have received comments already from several agencies, including School Board, GRCA, and the County Roads Department. Public comments were also received with concerns noted, some of which I'm sure you'll hear tonight, regarding traffic, a loss of trees, and density of the main issues. The comments to date that have been received, the agency and public comments will be reviewed, as well as the comments received tonight and after this meeting will still all be reviewed by staff, and then a future staff report will come forward with a recommendation for a council decision. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but I know that the applicant is also in attendance and will be presenting more details about the application. We also have county staff here, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mariana. At this time, we'll do the presentation by the applicant. I'd like to call on Waleed Nawaz, Senior Developer Manager at Dunpar Developments, to make a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Waters and members of council. I trust you can hear me all right?
Yes.
Right. Perfect. So my name is Waleed Nawaz. I'm a Senior Development Manager at Dunpar Developments, and I'll be presenting on behalf of the applicant for the proposed development at 650 Victoria Terrace. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, perfect. So I have a brief presentation prepared here to go through some of the site context, the surrounding area, the proposal, the community engagement that was held late last year, as well as some of the planning context. So Dunpar is a builder developer with communities across the GTA, have built over 2,000 homes over the last 40 years, and is known for the distinguished low-rise residential construction. So as you know, the site is located at 650 Victoria Terrace in Fergus at the northeast corner of Victoria Terrace and Forfar Street East. It's about 4.8 hectares in size. It currently contains a one-story industrial building. This was previously, what has previously operated as a large commercial printing facility at, which at the peak of its operations did provide many jobs for the local community. Obviously, with the operations winding down prior to the sale of the building, that was no longer the case. This is a little map that shows the many facilities available within walking distance of the site. The site in general is surrounded by low-rise residential to the east, south, and west, and an industrial building to the north. As you can see, there's many amenities within the nearby area, some of which include parks, trails, schools, as well as shopping centers. It is generally within the urban center. It is well serviced by a network of county as well as township roads, as well as municipal services. So all these factors make it a great site for infill development. So these applications were submitted last year towards the end of August. On December 1st, we held an informal open house at St. Joseph Parish. This was very informal. It was a drop-in format with gallery-style displays. About 15 to 20 residents attended and had the opportunity to speak directly one-on-one with Dunpar staff and voice their concerns. Some of the main concerns that were raised included trees, as well as traffic and school board capacity. So this provided an opportunity for early engagement and for us to get early feedback on the proposed development. So as for the proposed development, this is a site plan of the proposed site. As a high-level overview, the proposal includes 192 homes organized in a few blocks, and then an 11-unit commercial building at the southwest corner of the site. There is a network of private roads with connections to Gazowski as well as Victoria Terrace. There's also a network of walkways for pedestrian circulation, shared amenity space, as well as private amenity space. There is also 452 residential parking spaces, which does include visitor, and then dedicated 57 spaces for the commercial building. There's also about 30% open landscape area, which will provide opportunity for future landscaping as well as tree planting. So this is a high-level section of the typical townhome. So they're 11 meters in height, 3 stories, averaging about 2,400 square feet. These are family-sized units with a garage with 2 parking spaces at the first level, living space on the second, and then bedrooms on the third. At the bottom of the screen, you have a little rendering of what a typical block would look like. With respect to the commercial building, that is still being designed, but at a high level. Again, it'll be 11 units, and these units will be 2 stories and designed for local businesses to complement the existing residential neighborhood as well as the proposed development. The next few slides will cover some of the policy framework, which has been covered by staff as well. So there is county as well as the township official plan amendment and then a zoning bylaw amendment proposed. With respect to the county official plan, the lands are designated as employment area and do fall within the primary urban center. The proposal is to redesignate this to delineate the built-up area to permit the proposed residential and commercial use. Similarly, with respect to the Township of Center Wellington official plan, the current land use is industrial, and the proposal is to redesignate to residential. As for the zoning bylaw, under the Township zoning bylaw, the site is zone M1 service industrial, and proposed zoning is R6, which is residential mixed use. Again, this will permit the cluster townhouse dwellings as well as the associated commercial uses. So in support of these applications, various technical studies have been submitted that are under review by the town staff as well as their peer reviewers. Some of these include noise impact study, plan justification report, arborist report, tree protection plan, traffic impact assessment, as well as servicing and stormwater management report. In general, these townhomes complement the existing neighborhood. They fit within the context of the neighborhood, and the commercial units will provide an opportunity for job creation, as well as uses that are required for a complete community. Thank you everyone for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation, Waleed. We'll come back to you shortly on that, so if you just remain on the line. So at this point in time, I'll go to our delegations, and we'll start with Jonathan Velasco from Nexans Canada, Inc. Yes, welcome to the Electron, and thank you for coming today. You have 5 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. I have a presentation. I don't know if it can be displayed. Okay. Council members, good evening. Neighbors and friends, good evening to you. So my name is Jonathan Velasco. I represent Nexans Canada, the industrial area across the development, the proposed development. I'm the facilities engineer there. I'm a professional engineer, and I'm currently also the chair of the Professional Engineers of Ontario, Guelph, Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, and Fergus chapter. So I would like to, I wish we met in better times, but I would like to present our opposition to this development. I hope you can hear me clearly. Yeah. So tonight, also with me is the Nexans plant manager, Peter. So we are both representing Nexans, and hopefully our concerns will also be considered. So I guess I'll just probably use this slide here on my right side. So just for some background, especially for our neighbors and friends here. So Nexans has started operation in August 1966, so we'll be celebrating our 60 years this coming August. So we're been in the community for a long time. And if you can see from the picture I took from our office there, not a single residential unit is around the facility when we started operation in 1966. And the picture on the right, you can see we are now surrounded with residentials on our south and west side and industrials on our northeast side. So this is a picture of our environmental compliance permit. So Nexans operate through permits with air emissions, noise, and stormwater. You can see the red asterisks in there are our sources of emissions and noise. We had performed a study back in 2015 for our noise emissions, and we are operating with a permit. So here are some of Nexans' concerns with this proposed development. So now we will have more noise receptors, increasing the probability of noise complaints from our neighbors. We will now have more vehicle traffic in our Gosowski Gate entrance. This limits our operation expansion options, as we now need to consider that we have more neighbors now on the west side of our property. We are going to stress that there's a zoning incompatibility, more residential zones now nearby our property. We don't want to also just disregard the delicate balance between industrial and residential zoning and the separation of the residential and industrial. And there's an incomplete noise study by Thornton Tomasetti. So they went there, they talked to me, and they probably went across the street and did some rough measurements. I also went across the street when our cooling towers and our fans are in full swing, and I'm measuring 60 decibels across Gosowski Street. They're showing probably 50 decibels and lower. So we will probably request for a better and more accurate noise study. So tonight we are expressing our opposition of the rezoning of the industrial lot across Gosowski Street into the residential as proposed. If we are not successful in this opposition, Nexans will strongly require the developer to apply for Class 4 noise classification, that's NPC 300 Class 4, erect a tall fence or a sound barrier, and provide warning clause on the house title. There was a 2015 development on our east side. I was not the person that was probably standing in here at that time. But during that time, that Sorbara Development Group had an NPC 300 Class 4 noise level classification to 60 decibels from 50 decibels for the Class 1 normal standard. I was talking to them when they were building that tall wall. So I wanted to make sure that that's tall enough to be a sound barrier that's facing us on our 700 Garcher entrance. And they told me that they have a warning clause on their property titles about the noise, that they are just steps away from our property. So I mentioned this to the consultant from Thornton Tomasetti about the other Sorbara subdivision 10 years ago. So in this picture, I measured 60 decibels intermittent on the shoulder on the other side of Gosowski Street when our cooling tower and our fans are in full operation. That is already the Class 4 limit. If we stay on Class 1, we will already be violating the noise level on that side there are houses in there in this proposed development. We propose tall wall and tree line, and again, as I've said, warning clause. I will be the person who will be mitigating and answering noise complaints from property owners on that side of the street, and we want to avoid that. And Peter will probably be the person who will give me the money to build fence on our side, which we don't want to do, because now it will be up to us to mitigate this noise generated from our side. So before that happens, we are expressing our concern. I have spoken with other companies in Toronto area that have gotten into this nightmare where developments are happening across their property, and now they're the one paying for the mitigation of the noise. For that, thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, so now we'll reach out to Bernice Robinet, resident. Is Bernice? Yes, I see her there. Hi. Welcome, Bernice, and you have 5 minutes.
I got to talk fast.
Well, I'm usually, anyways, I'm usually pretty good that way, but it's okay.
Okay. I did bring a petition with 250 neighborhood signatures. And the proposal to rezone the property has a lot of negative issues. Dunpar has no ties to this community. And if I'm allowed to say, I'm kind of disappointed that he's not here to see us in person. And I'm wondering if that's how responsive he's going to be to concerns, or they're going to be, just as an aside. So coming from the GTA, their vision and the ambitions don't match those of a small town. Mature, quiet neighborhoods, places where we know our neighbors and we form relationships, take care of them, they take care of us. The internet footprint is less than stellar. They have an internet, sorry, I'm nervous, internet reviews of customer service and workmanship of 2.8 out of 5. So it raises some concerns. If there's issues, where will they be? Like tonight, is there going to be someone local to take care of some of these issues? Will they be resolved? They're not going to be likely to be using their own, or they will be, sorry, most likely to be using their own crews. So it's not going to bring jobs for the workers of Fergus at this point, unless, you know, they make something different there. The proposed 192 to stacked townhouses and 11 retail are definitely over intensification. It's become common for recent projects, this phrase. It's similar to the current concerns raised in Salem, where residents there have said the same intensification concerns. Their difference, however, is it is a smaller project. The builder is part of the community. He's local. They have a 4.5 rating. So they would be using local workers. It's still an inappropriate number of units. That's the most common theme. I doubt there's any other area in Fergus or Aurora where you can walk that same landmass and get 192 neighbors. It's just way too many. And will over-intensification really lend itself to a sense of community, or just serve to reinforce the label of our bedroom community? And you're not going to be attracting people who want to join the community, recreate here, support our businesses. That's what we should be looking to do to keep our small town feel. The addition of the townhouses would result in loss of jobs. The factory that is currently there employs some people from Fergus, Guelph, Cambridge, also from Mississauga and further out. They're well-paying manufacturing jobs. There's about 35 people running with 3 shifts. So it's not a useless space. It is being used. So the convenient argument returns that it's underutilized. So it's a flippant claim if you're not one of the workers who has a job. Jobs are so important right now, especially in this time. So you have to consider that. If you're putting in retail units, they're going to be come and go often when you don't need something specific. And we have already okayed 8 other retail outlets in this area that aren't online yet. So you're going to put 11 more, and I can't imagine what we need in this area. North Fergus is not underserviced retail-wise. So 19 spaces for people to come and work, to create a job, yes, but they are not good paying manufacturing jobs. They're most likely minimum wage. So one thing that I wanted to think about is the lighting, light pollution. What's going to be happening if you're lighting up this parking lot for retail and for the houses themselves? It's going to throw a lot of light to the neighboring houses that are right there. So I guess we all run out and buy room darkening blinds, I guess. Trees that were originally planted way back when it was one factory, they planted 450 or so trees to buffer between one factory and no close residential area. The Bellamy subdivision is only built in 2000, so that's long after the factory. So now the developer wants to take out 430 trees, and they figure that that's not going to be an issue for providing some sort of barrier, noise barrier. And I think that's kind of flippant attitude, you know. So trees are important for the privacy, heat mitigation, wildlife habitat, noise dampening, and even more importantly, the management of the high water table and that's previously drained swamp. Covering this acreage with asphalt buildings, concrete, means water has nowhere to go. It increases the risk of flooding in the existing adjacent houses. Currently, the residents enjoy the illusion of living in a more wooded area with the benefits of urban living. We enjoy the peaceful noises, the birds, enjoy watching the squirrels, rabbits, groundhogs, even the toads. With construction will come noise, chainsaws, wood chippers, dump trucks, backhoes, and the other construction noises. They'll be starting very early in the morning and continuing through the day. So forget about any enjoyment of your property. There won't be a possibility of that. On a personal level, the decision to purchase my house included that green space, the trees behind. This was an established, mature neighborhood. Knowing that and picking a small town for my retirement, knowing and caring for my neighbors, that was the benefit. It was mature. It wasn't, I was not prepared and am not prepared to be living next to a construction zone for how long? I think there are many of my neighbors that agree, and that's proven by the petition. At the information meeting, I asked about the pricing and was assured that these buildings would be affordable. Kept going around the presentation and I found out that the affordable is $750,000. I don't really believe that that falls into the current guidelines for affordable, which I believe the last time I read was just under $500,000. And townhouses are really a niche market because of the stairs. You're targeting a lot of young buyers, and it seems like it might be out of a starter range. All of this remains, and other current very important concerns are traffic. You're going to be adding 200 to 350 more cars to an already very busy area. These are 2 elementary schools now, but nearby pickup and drop-off times are extremely busy. It's going to increase the number of cars and increase the potential of accidents, car accidents, danger to pedestrians, and many of them are children. The schools are already at or near capacity. So what's going to happen with that? There's going to be more kids. Where are you going to put them? There's also infrastructure concerns, water pressure, water capacity, storm and sanitary sewage capacity. There's a lot of projects that have been okayed and aren't built yet. So when everything comes online, what is going to happen? The next thing is the roads. They're a disgrace. Victoria Terrace it's destroyed. I know it's winter. I know we've had the detour, but the problem is it's not going to get any better if you've got construction. If you do patches, you've got heavy traffic, heavy dump trucks, it's going to just further degrade. So if council approves this development with these numbers, the resulting densities change the feel of small town. 3-story townhouse units towering over our current bungalows. It's going to create a fishbowl look for us. If it will also decrease property values, because this feel of the small town, which is why a lot of people leave larger cities and come here to live and sometimes retire, but there's no guarantee that the project is going to succeed. And although you need housing, you need a variety of housing. Townhouses, like I say, are the niche market. We have 12 townhouses coming online at 750 St. David North. You have the apartment building on Strathallan. They're not townhouses, but that's coming online. The new DU development was 112 townhouses. That's in progress, from my understanding. You have 19 more units on Side Road 19, 8 semi and singles, so there's not townhouses there. The other development further down on St. David and Highway 6, you have 266 more townhouses. And then in the south end, you have 3,000 homes are approved, and those will include townhouses. There has to be a choice for people. Semis, single family, 2-story, nothing that's going to be towering over us, feeling like you can't sit and enjoy your backyard, that someone's going to be looking at it and go, oh, what's going on there? You know, it's privacy. When I retired here, and I'm not being morbid, but I figured this is going to be where my expiry date will be. I did not expect this, and it will make life in my house, which backs right on, because I'm on Bellamy, it'll make it a nightmare. There's no other way. And it's not just me. That is a personal, kind of selfish, but it is a reality for the neighborhood. I don't think it should be approved. If we've met our housing targets, I think we have to put things on hold till some of these projects come on board and see what we need to do infrastructure-wise, because I don't think we're prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. So I'm now going to open up to the audience for if they'd like to make a comment to this, and I'm going to start on this side of the room. You're able to come, and I will hold you to 5 minutes. So, if anyone wants to make a comment as it relates to this application, you're welcome to come to. All you have to do is tell your name and your address. So if anyone on this side of the room would like to come up and speak. And if you can identify yourself and your address, and you literally have 5 minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Bernice has covered everything, or most things I'd like to say, but Shane Gracie, 10 Bellamy. I hope that you don't go ahead with this, or at least severely draw back some of the plans that Mr. Nawaz there has brought forth. I agree with most of what Bernice has said already. I just wonder about the trustworthiness of the reports that have been put forth. I mean, it's been hired by a company that stands to make millions of dollars. I was just looking at some of the GSP report recommendations, and they were checking all of these boxes with, reference to like water table, and like road management, traffic congestion, and it just seemed like everything was being checked off as it needs to be. So I wonder about that, if the reliability of those. Also, things like the the increased amount of people in the development in terms of the infrastructure, like the fire department or the ambulance services. I wonder about that as well. And then also, if it were to go ahead in terms of the tearing down of the building itself and what is put in place in terms of hazardous substances or asbestos, for example. I come from Ottawa recently, and I saw a lot of infill building in my neighborhood, and in particular beside me, there was a building that was torn down, and sure enough, they tried to squeak by, the developer tried to squeak by and just, run underneath the law there, but the neighborhood rallied and held them their foot to the fire, so to speak, and made them follow the proper procedures. So I wonder about the openness behind this development, I guess. That's all. Yeah, a little bit jaded perhaps, but it's the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. On this side, yes, please come forward and identify yourself and your address, please.
Hi, everyone.
You have 5 minutes.
I will try. Hi, everyone. My name is Annalisa Mazzarato. I live at 25 Bellamy Crescent. So I am a resident of the area that's proposed for development. So I had a privilege to buy my house here back in 2022, as it really aligned with my desire to live in a safe and welcoming and connected community. I wanted stability and I wanted to feel like I belonged, and that was an important part of why I invested in my house here and why I participate fully as a community member. So that's why I'm here today. The potential impacts on traffic, employment, and green space have caused me genuine concern and uncertainty about the future of my area. I have invested both my time and my energy into building meaningful relationships with all my neighbors, and I worry, should this proposal move forward and the zoning and development plan go forward, that I'll have to reconsider the community that I've worked hard to be a part of. And so the proposed development presents multiple policy, planning, and community concerns. This is my attempt at reading some documentation. It's not my job, so bear with me. The first one is employment loss. So the conversion of the currently zoned lands to mixed-use residential does undermine Wellington County's long-term employment objectives. The planning justification report lacked evidence that these lands are considered surplus or that the conversion will not negatively impact the employment that's provided by the current building, which Bernice noted was 35 people. If the goal is to increase housing within our area, we should be prioritizing underutilized residential land or true infill within existing residential zones, rather than rezoning our current industrial land that's actively being used for employment. My second concern was in regards to traffic and safety. So I noted that the traffic impact study was limited to 2029 and excluded pedestrian cyclist safety near schools and does not model the cumulative impacts that we're going to be seeing from the other developments that were talked about tonight. And by limiting this model to 2029, that study does not fully capture that full build-out impact that it will have. And so it's not taking into account those cumulative traffic effects from adjacent developments. The third, and something that is really important to me, is that the proposed density of 40 units per hectare in the townhouse design don't transition adequately to our surrounding neighborhood, which consists of low-rise residential area. The urban design brief lacked shadow studies, privacy analyses, and step-back height mitigations. And additionally, when discussing this issue with the developer at their open house, they did acknowledge that there was no discussion or thought put into the capacity of local schools to take in the increased amount of students expected to live in that area. Center Wellington's official plan also requires that any new development were to respect existing community, form, and character, which this plan clearly does not, in my opinion. Fourth would be environmental impacts. So the tree production and compensation plan lacked enforceable canopy targets, replacement strategies or timelines, and many of the trees in the area are mature and provide numerous ecosystem services that we all benefit from. So stormwater and natural heritage impacts are not completely addressed. Cumulative effects with other developments was also not addressed. And then as a reminder, I've been told by neighbors that this area was once a swamp, and having green space to dissipate that water from the existing homes and trees to utilize that excess water is incredibly important to the safety of our homes. And then council should also develop a proper monitoring plan as well as a detailed stormwater assessment and consider maintaining the pond that's at the end of Bellamy Crescent, regardless if this plan is approved. As I'm aware, it hasn't been touched or taken care of since then. I also submitted within my email a number of case studies with similar infills where council had to redo or reapprove or redesign the existing development's proposal. And then additionally, there were comments made at the Dunpar's open house that developments are a requirement of Bill 23, which is the More Homes Built Faster Act, which encourages housing supply, but does not override our local and municipal plans or policies. It's not justification to approve a development that conflicts with our goals or neighborhood character, including the safety of our current residents. Centre Wellington does have a municipal housing plan and policy that set those growth targets. And according to our planning documents and growth reports, the township has already achieved its residential growth target or has addressed those growth target needs through its strategic expansions in the South Fergus secondary plan. It's also wanted to note that this neighborhood has experienced previous attempts to alter our community green space without adequate public consultation. So for example, there was a proposal to designate the local park as surplus and followed with a proposal to build a high school in that area. And this now flags an emerging pattern to me in which developments have sought to increase the density in our neighborhood while undermining our character, livability, and environmental quality of the remaining green space. So if a high school, which was far less intensive in terms of traffic and population, was ultimately deemed inappropriate for this area and opposed by the community, it raises a fundamental question for
Excuse me, you have one more minute to wind it up.
Yep, I'm almost done. How could adding nearly 200 homes possibly make sense? The logic does not follow for me. And so my recommendation to council, if this needs to go forward, would be to amend the zoning only to residential and to amend the development plans to match the current density and character of our neighborhood. Many young families, like myself, chose to move to Fergus because it offered the space, the safety, and the quality of life that I was looking for and isn't available in some higher density areas. At the same time, we have a lot of seniors in our community that also need homes that are accessible and single story to allow them to age into their home. This character, Fergus, is a small town, has green space, privacy, and these low density neighborhoods is really what draws people here. And amending the proposal to meet that density with this mixture of single and two-story homes that we currently have would preserve the character and livability of our area and provide housing options that meet the demands of all types of families without overwhelming our local infrastructure green space. And as I see it, if we were to redesign it, those homes could be someone's forever home. So if we design thoughtfully, this could be a place where a family could grow into it. You can have memories and have deep roots in your community. And that kind of sense of continuity and belonging is part of what makes our neighborhood quite beautiful and feel like home. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've done the folks in the middle there, and I'm going over. Is there anyone over here on this side? Okay, so I'm now going to go this side of the room. Anyone from this side of the room would like to speak to the application? Okay. Okay. So at this time, I'd like to look to the applicant. You can respond to some of the items that were pointed out, and also staff is here as well to respond. So I'll leave it to you, Waleed, to make any response at this time.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. And thank you to everyone who brought forward the concerns. I apologize, I didn't get everyone's names, but a couple of concerns are raised, and I'll speak on a few of them to provide responses. So the items related to the planning context and density, we can appreciate that these are not identical to the form of housing that's there, but in the context of planning objectives and policy objectives, it fits within the neighborhood. This is the type of density that's required to achieve housing goals. There's also a demand for this product. There's also some comments on the employment. So,
Waleed, sorry, but if you could speak a little bit louder, we can hear you, but if you can try to talk up a little bit better, if that's possible.
Is this better?
Yeah, if you either get closer to the mic, just so we can hear you more clearly. I apologize for that, but that would be good for us. Thank you.
Okay, let me know if this is not working, and then I'll switch to my my laptop mic to see if it works better. So yeah, we had some concerns about the employment and the jobs that the current building or the current facility provides. It's not providing the level of jobs that it once did. As mentioned, the property is underutilized. It's within a residential neighborhood. By completing this development, it'll complete the neighborhood and provide that buffer that's required to the industrial lands to the north. And again, there is a commercial building proposed. So together, this supports both the housing and commercial intensification goals. There was concerns raised about trees. We appreciate, many of the trees are being removed, and given the layout of the site, the roads, the blocks, as well as stormwater management facilities and the regrading works required, it's made it very difficult to retain, more trees. But as part of the site plan process and detailing the site, new trees will be planted. As I mentioned, there is about 30% landscape open space that'll provide you opportunity for future tree planting and replacement trees. And then there were some concerns raised related to transportation and the traffic impacts. So as mentioned, the traffic impact study has been completed. The general conclusion of that study is that the existing infrastructure can support the development. There have been some minor improvements, provided in the report. And again, those will be further detailed and reviewed with staff throughout the process. There was a comment about lighting pollution. That's more of a site plan matter. And again, part of that design requirement will be to ensure that there's no excessive light pollution and ensure that the lighting is designed in accordance with all regulations and guidelines. And then just on the validity of the various reports that have been done, as I mentioned, there have been various technical studies that have been submitted in support of this application. Those have been completed by qualified professionals. They've accounted for all possibilities and adhere to the guidelines that are required. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the noise concerns that were brought forward by Jonathan. So, I mean, that site is generally surrounded by residential. Our consultant has completed a noise impact study. General conclusion of that is that a class 1 classification is sufficient. There's a significant setback and separation distance between the two properties. And, we look forward to continue work through the process and consider these concerns, as well as staff concerns and further revise any reports that are necessary. So thank you again for everyone's feedback, and then we'll continue to work through this with the staff as well as the residents.
Thank you, Waleed. At this point in time, I'd like to look to council for the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or staff. So I'll start with the Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mayor Waters, to the applicant. Where did he go?
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I'm just going to talk anyways. I don't know if, oh, there you are. Have you had conversations with the school boards and about daycare, about schooling, about where these possible families would be going to school?
So we haven't had those discussions directly with the school boards, but we have started receiving some initial comments. Once we have a complete set of comments, they'll be reviewed, and we'll work with these agencies and school boards to figure some of these items out.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our neighbors for getting up here and delegating. I'm sure that it's not as easy as one might think, so I appreciate you taking the time and all the work you've done for that. So thank you to all of you. I look to the gentleman from Nexans with my question. Do we want to invite him up, or so that he can answer? Or do you want him to answer from there? Whatever you prefer.
Yeah, Jonathan, or will you come up? Or okay,
Great, thanks.
You're going to need to come up because there's the mic. Apologize for that. We would have put the couch closer to the mic. So.
Thanks, Jonathan. You spoke about the concern for the noise. I'm trying to understand it better. You said that you were the noise levels will be the concerns of your noise levels. Is that during construction and for the length of time that construction will be going on, or are you speaking to the overall noise of a new development in such close proximity to the factory? Just trying to differentiate between your concerns. Are they there's probably going to be something there no matter what, but what was your concern for the construction or thereafter?
Thank you for your question. So we are not concerned about the noise from the neighbor construction. What we are protecting is the noise complaints from these new neighbors from us. So we generate noise. We have future expansions of our factory on that side, and that limits our option to expand as a business. And if there's a neighbor there that will complain, that's a nightmare for us, because the Ministry of Labor or the Ministry of Environment will come to us. We have to now mitigate, because it is now our fault that at this early development we did not put the necessary controls and mitigations to prevent this from happening. From that, if we allow this to happen, it will now be on our pocket to mitigate this noise, and we don't want that to happen on our side.
Understood. Not unlike people coming into town complaining about the smell of our farmers. So thank you.
Okay, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. To the applicant, has there been an environmental impact study completed yet? I thought I saw that maybe there wasn't, but I could be missing something. I think in some previous applications, we've seen areas where it talks about species at risk, and I think in previous ones, it actually refers directly to the Fergus Nexan ponds and the species that are currently there. And some of the mitigations have been avoiding construction during certain times or having more of an active tree preservation plan. So I'm just kind of curious if anything like that has been looked at to date.
Thank you for your question. So an environmental impact assessment has not been completed. So that was not one of the submission requirements, as I believe it did not meet the trigger for completion or for it being required.
Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. And comment first for Waleed. I do just want to express my disappointment that you did not come in person. So it does set a tone that you didn't want to come and join us in our beautiful community tonight. So I just want you to share that back with the rest of your team, that hopefully in the future you would decide to come in person. I know you're not that far away. Lots of people from Fergus drive to Mississauga every day for work. So just for future reference, please consider joining in person. So I do have a question though about the trees. I think the removal of the 453 trees is a little bit excessive. And it seems to me like it is a fairly linear grouping of trees. So it seems to me there must be some way to do a redesign of the site plan to accommodate the preservation of more of that section of wooded area. I know they were planted kind of as a buffer originally, so it seems like that buffer would still play a really important role, and there must be some way. So I would really challenge you and your team to come up with some design options that would allow for more preservation of more of those trees. So I guess that's not really a question, but a comment. So, but you can comment on it if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do apologize. My schedule did not allow me to make it in person today, but I do hope I'm there for the next time. In regards to trees, yeah, we can definitely take that back and review it. I totally understand your point of the trees in one location. Yeah, so we'll take that back and review it further.
Councillor McDonald.
Through your Mayor Waters, have you done, or I haven't seen it, a soil contamination study? Is it contaminated where it's currently being manufacturing and employment lands? To the applicant,
thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we have done a phase 1 environmental site assessment. So that's more of a high level assessment that identifies areas of concern. So that was submitted, and then the exact contaminants, whether they are present, will be done through a future study.
Yep, follow up.
And with the level of contaminants, are you going to rehabilitate the land before you would build?
That's correct. So that's a ministry requirement, and remediation, if required, will be done in conformance with all ministry regulations.
Okay.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you, sir, to the applicant. With regards to traffic and the traffic study, again, looking at throughout the construction time, have you got a backup plan that you can share with us what that might look like, in that Victoria Terrace is a primary route for the families going to the school?
Thank you. With respect to construction, we really haven't gone into those details on how that'll work. But it's something I can take back and get back to you through staff.
Councillor Craddock.
Thank you, and through you, just to piggyback off that question to the applicant, curious if the traffic study specifically looked at drop-off and pickup times at Victoria Terrace Public School.
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Just the traffic study, apologies, if they specifically looked at the pickup and drop-off times for the school there.
So that's another thing I can get back to you on. But in general, traffic counts are done, and the requirement is for the traffic counts to be completed at the peak times. But I could definitely bring this forward internally and with the traffic consultant and get back to staff with a detailed answer.
Thanks.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, through the applicant. Next time we hear back from this application, I'd like to hear more about what you feel your company specifically is bringing to the community in terms of the added value. There is definitely, I believe, I'm already concerned about the traffic that is surrounding both the current elementary schools in the area. So I think that's of a big concern. And I'm also curious if your company is familiar with the Watson report that came to our council in July of 2025. It really spoke to the housing needs assessment in our community and referred to some of the affordability talk that we heard from comments today. And it would be really great to hear about how you feel this application really aligns with what the needs were kind of listed in that report.
Thank you. And that's something that we can review.
Councillor McDonald.
Through your Mayor Waters, and this could be for the applicant or Mariana, sorry. With regards to employment lands, I do know there's other applications in Wellington County. So I guess what I'm getting at is when will we hear from Wellington County about this application?
Thank you. Through you, thank you for the question, Councillor McDonald. So the county has not provided their comments yet, but they're also doing the review of the application for the official plan amendment in light of the employment lands conversion, as are we. And we have an outside consultant helping us with that as well, so that we can provide you a fulsome answer.
Okay, and follow up. And will this go before the planning committee at county?
Yes, it will.
And okay, just so the residents here know about that. That's okay. Thank you.
I think I saw Councillor Wilton.
Yes, for the applicant. Thank you, Mayor Waters. Just if you could speak a little bit more about your vision for the commercial units and what types of businesses, types of commercial uses would be in those spaces. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. So in terms of what the uses that will be permitted, include a variety of uses, which could include art galleries, art and shops, many local businesses, the retail, offices, medical clinics, restaurants, stuff that'll complement the residential neighborhood.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you, sir. Coming back to traffic, assuming that not everyone in our gallery here has had a chance to look at the reports, can you just summarize the plan with regards to entryway to these spaces once completed? What roads you're anticipating? What does your traffic study show, and what are you thinking will go forward once it's complete?
Thank you for the question.
There are several entrances. So do you have a hope and how this is going to unfold?
So the analysis has been complete on the multiple entrances, and it's been split on based on the percentage of entrance and exits from the site. So there are 2 egress points proposed on Victoria Terrace and 1 on Kozowski Street.
Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. I think this question is for Mariana. I'm just curious what the concern from Nexans around the noise study. Will there be another peer review of the noise study or a follow up on that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mayor Waters. Thank you for the question, Councillor Wilson. We are currently reviewing it. We have peer reviewers that have reviewed the study and have provided the comments back to the applicant on changes and edits that need to be made and additional information that we're looking for. And that was recognized or identified by our peer reviewer as well. Additional information is required in regard to the Nexans site and to confer with them as well. So that was one of the recommendations in the peer review. So we are working with the consultants and with our own peer reviewers and with their consultants to get that information.
Can you maybe just describe, is that a similar process for like the traffic study and the arborist report?
Thank you. Through you. Yes, we're undergoing the same process for the traffic impact study. So we just received comments recently on that as well. So it's an iterative process where the consultants, we go back and forth and try to assess anything that hasn't been, any information that needs to be updated, and until we're satisfied, until the peer reviewers are satisfied that we have all the information we need.
Thank you.
And I could add the landscape plan as well as being peer reviewed.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, just for clarity, Mariana, please. So I'm hearing this is regardless of who goes in there, if this factory becomes somewhere for people to live, the same issue is going to exist, whether they're living in 3-story homes and there's 190 of them, or whether there's 30 units in 1-story homes. The issue is going to remain the same with regards to Nexans because our community is infilling. How are we going to approach that as we go forward? Whilst I understand you're doing the peer review, I'm still not entirely sure how we mitigate this issue. Something's going to likely be in there. How are we going to address this?
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Evoy, we This is a rather unique situation because these are employment lands. So this is a use that is permitted, the industrial use, and it's a conversion. So that is definitely one of the matters that we have to consider, whether it is an appropriate conversion, what the policies say about that, and all the compatibility issues. We have to weigh all that to see if this would be an appropriate conversion. And then if so, what would the mitigation measures be that we would require the applicant to include in their development application and take that forward? That could include noise walls, warning clauses, but we would have to be satisfied that it's an appropriate conversion and that those issues could be mitigated.
Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mayor Waters. Thank you. The company that's there now is still operating? Is that what my understanding? And there are employees?
Yes, through you, my understanding is, I believe it was vacant for some time and now it is operating again. It is a different
company,
a use right now. I think it's some kind of a food plastics production company.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jefferson.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. For Mariana, just with the employment conversion, is it going to be looking at if the employment lands are withdrawn out of our urban boundary and the impact after doing all of our urban boundary last year and the urban lands that we needed? Does it look at the impact of removing that from there as well?
Yes, through you, thank you for the question to Councillor Jefferson. We are looking at it on a comprehensive basis based on our land needs assessment, how this might impact the overall employment land count, and then whether it's, an appropriate conversion and how it might impact other conversions, like other requests that might come forward for similar matters, and how that might in turn, again, also impact the residential count in terms of the offset of the lands. So that'll all come forward as part of the assessment.
Do you have a follow?
I have a separate question.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Wilton and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Waleed, this question's for you. Just curious, a lot of comments came up today about mixed housing types, and also the affordability issues came up from a couple of my colleagues. So I'm just curious if there's any consideration on your part and your team's part to look at a mix of some bungalows, the 3-story towns that you have currently, and a little bit of more diversity of housing, because it is correct that a lot of seniors are looking for housing in our community, and having a walk-in bungalow would be an appropriate type of housing. So just curious if you could speak to that, if there's any way you have looked at different types of designs or could potentially look at different designs. And if you could also comment on the affordability piece. We'd be at about $430,000 for purchase price, I believe, to be in an attainable, affordable range. So if you could comment if there's any way you could do a portion of the houses in that development out of 192, could you do maybe 10 that would be more in the affordable range or a different style? So I'd appreciate your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I know a variety of forms of housing and site plan layouts were reviewed prior to the submission. In regards to your specific request for single story and bungalows and affordable housing, those are items I could take back, and obviously we can incorporate into a complete review.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from council? I have a few comments or questions as well, Waleed. So I'll start with this, especially with the 453 trees. I know you have in this particular site plan, you've indicated a green space, but I think maybe there might be the opportunity for a linear park and incorporate those trees into the linear park. And then that way it provides some, obviously some needed screening against those existing residents. So that may be something. I know you have GSP involved with this. I'm assuming they did the site plan on or this initial site plan, but they would be familiar with a linear park kind of a concept, and then that would possibly provide some screening. I also, on the site itself and sort of the I'll call it the street trees. There's some beautiful street trees on this. So if there's ways of keeping them, I know they're in sort of the where you've proposed other trees. To be able to keep some of that, I think that also, because part of it too is identify the sort of the values of the property. And to me, the trees are definitely have value. And if you can do that and work around those values, it's just going to make your development better, and make it feel like it's been there a lot longer if you can work around those values that way. The other part of this too is I agree with councillors here in terms of having sort of a variety of housing. I think that's really, really important given sort of where we're at. I know sometimes it's like we have sort of the maybe the vision that this is what we do it really well, and we want to do that. Well, and in my mind, sometimes you got to push the bounds a little bit and look at sort of variety of housing stock there, because a variety of housing stock give you a variety of opportunities, not only for your development, but for people who want to move into that site. One particular development back in the day that was done here, and it was really well accepted, is a place called Station Square. So if you look at that development, it's in Elora. I think there's some real value you could take away on that. And at the time, it was a bit controversial, but it was really. I remember talking to the developer at the time. He anticipated that it would take 5 years to build out and sell, and I think it was within months that development sold out because there was a real need for that type of housing. So take a look at that. I think you might be impressed with what they did there. So again, I think part of your job, I think, is to challenge your group there to look at the values of the property, because I think they have values for the neighborhood. If we can sort of get those in sync that way, I think you're going to end up having a really good development there, or potential for development. But the trees are really important. 453 trees, and I'll admit my bias. I'm a landscape architect, so if you can keep that in mind, I think that's really important. So, okay. Anyways, I think we've done a lot of chatting here tonight. So, and I'll leave that with you. I don't expect any comment. You can take away that. And I appreciate all the folks that came out here tonight. So at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and advise that council will be considering the bylaw at a future council meeting. So I declare this meeting closed. Thank you.